I'm Carrie Ann Knauer, and welcome to Carrie's Kitchen. Over the summer, my photographer Ken was telling me about this really interesting plant that he had that he thought would make a great source for our Carrie's Kitchen recipes. It turns out that it's called a Jerusalem artichoke, or also a sunchoke, because it's not really from Jerusalem or in the artichoke family. And when you dig up its roots, you find these crazy looking tubers that are actually edible. I knew that peeling the skins off of these tubers was going to be really hard, so I found a recipe that let us leave them on. So today we're going to be making a sunchoke and potato mash. Are you ready to cook? Alright, so here we are in the garden, and behind me these are the sunchokes. Now they're not looking so pretty now because it's winter and they've kind of died back, but when you see them in the summer they are very tall and beautiful. They kind of are a combination between a sunflower and like a daisy type of flower on the top, and so this is what's left at the end. Now we had to wait until there was a nice freeze, and that's gonna transform what's going on above ground and underground. And what we're interested in is getting the sunchoke tubers, which are underground. So what we're going to start with is cutting them back, get some of these stalks a little bit out of our way so they can get down to the ground and start digging around and hopefully pulling out these tubers. I don't know how tough it's going to be. It rained kind of recently, so hopefully the soil's kind of nice and loosened up. So in digging in that about 2 square feet plot, we were able to collect 7 pounds of sunchokes, and they range from these really big gnarly looking ones to these kind of tiny ones, which are sort of like the little feeder roots that are coming off, and they're going to start growing into the bigger ones for the next year's sunchokes. So they're pretty dirty. We're going to give them an outside wash, then we're going to take them in the kitchen and wash them again. Okay, so we washed up our sunchokes and they're looking pretty good. If you happen to look for these at the grocery store, because sometimes they have them, you gotta look in the winter though. You wanna find ones that have nice smooth skins, should be purplish in color, not greenish. That would mean that they're kind of older, and you want them just to have that kind of fresh look to them. They'll get kind of shriveled up looking if they're older. So I'm going to be cutting these into 1 to 1.5 inch chunks so that they'll cook at a consistent rate with the potatoes that we'll be putting in there. Now they have a really nice and crisp texture to them, almost like a radish. And you can eat them raw as well. Some people say that they're good to add on salads. Again, I think it could replace a radish. Not as much bite, a little bit more nutty flavor. Now we're going to work with our potatoes, and for these we are going to peel. You only want to have a certain amount of skin in them. We'll have enough skin with the sunchoke. Okay, so now we're going to cut our potatoes into 2-inch chunks and throw them in the pot. Okay, and just like you would with a standard recipe, we're going to be covering these with cold water just till it's a little bit over, maybe an inch over, and then we're going to start boiling them. Okay, so we've got it on to boil. I'm going to add a tablespoon of salt. All right, I can tell it's boiling now. Great. So I'm just going to turn down the heat. We want to keep a boil, but not such a ferocious boil. We're going to let it boil for about 18 minutes until you can pierce it with a knife. Okay, it's been about 16, 17 minutes, and we're going to do a test. Pull out my potato, and yes, it's definitely knife tender. Let's pull out some of our sunchokes. We've got a bunch of them here. Oh yeah, it's going in there nice and easily. And the skins have become a little more brown, but that's okay. I'm sure that's what happens when we cook them. All right, now we're going to take these off the stove and drain them. Now this is meant to be kind of a rustic dish, so we're not thinking it's going to be exactly like mashed potatoes, more like chunked, but we won't need to use the carefulness that you would for, say, Thanksgiving dinner. Well, I think that's about the texture we want it to be, and it seems moist enough to me too, so we're just going to go straight to adding the butter. We're going to add 3 tablespoons of butter, which I probably should have cut up before I put in there. But it's been softening. I'm going to add half a tablespoon of kosher salt. All right, I think it's time to give it a taste. I got some skin in there. I want to make sure I get the whole combo here. That's really good. And there you have it, sunchoke and potato mash.